Hello there, my name is Dalton Ruhr. I'm a senior solution architect here at Qlik, and I'd like to be among the first to congratulate you on this journey you're taking to the Qlik Sense Cloud. You've probably signed into your first SaaS tenant, and hopefully it doesn't say welcome to Qlik Sense ClickDork. It says welcome to Qlik Sense Bob or Sally or Fred or Mary or whoever you actually are. What I'm going to try to do is help acclimate you to this because this environment is going to be substantially different than what your Windows environment was. So sit down and relax. This is my real cloud environment. And from here you'll see that I have access to applications. I can scroll through down here and I can get to things at my fingertips. But what I have in mind is really no concern to you naturally. The first thing you'll see here on your menu is that you could explore. Well, you can explore through all of the spaces that you have access to. Spaces are sort of like streams in the Windows world. I can have a personal space just like my workspace in Windows. I can have spaces that are shared to me, things that I can go off and work in a multi-developer team with. I can also have managed spaces. Managed spaces are kind of more of a locked down version. This is the end of the road. This is really production. And I need to keep people's fingers off of it at that point. Whole lot more you can read about the differences between shared spaces and managed spaces and how to move things between. That's not the point. I do want to help you understand. You will have access to all of that and you can explore and then just focus on which vision of the world you want to be in. One of the things that you're going to see that you could do is you can create collections. Collections are going to give you that ability to take applications from many different spaces and put them together at your fingertips. I can have favorites from across shared spaces or managed spaces. I can create a collection where it's the raw extracts that I'm doing, and this again could be across many spaces. However you want to manage this hub look and feel for yourself is going to be very flexible for you, which is great. A lot of differences, kind of a mixture of Qlik View, if you've ever used that, and Qlik Sense Hub, which I really like being the Qlik dork and coming from that background. I love seeing them together. One of the things that you can naturally do is bring up the Insight Advisor chat. For your end users, this is right where it's going to be. They just pop that up. They don't care about spaces and collections and where the app actually is. They just want to ask questions, and this is where they'll do it. While I'm on the screen, we'll just work our way right across. You can see that I can add new. I can add a new app, much the same way that I would in Windows. I can upload an app. I can create a link to an external source. I really love this because I need to have my ClickDork blog page right at my fingertips because you never know when I'm going to access that thing. I can add data files. I can simply upload data files right to my space. Ta-da! I got data files in my space. I can create connections from here. I love this because there were often times that someone would need a connection in Windows and I'd have to go create an app for pretend, create the connection, and then just delete the app afterwards. This is a great way to just go ahead and build that connection so that the development team has the access that they need. And of course, I can create another space if I want to create a space. Right beside that, you'll see that you've got a notification bell. As notifications come to you, you can configure these things, and we'll see this momentarily, to either go to email or to come to you here in the web. I can have them both if I want, but the nice thing is if I happen to have missed an email because I had a busy day and I come in here, I'm going to see an alert that tells me, hey, this thing triggered. We had a customer with days sales outstanding go over 400, 300 days. We're going to need to get on a plane and go talk to that customer. The next thing here, you'll see that I've got this ability to either look at my data analytics hub or my management Console. I'm going to come back to that though. On my initials here, you'll see I can look at my profile settings, and this gives me a number of things that I can do. I can set my language, blah, blah, blah. I can set up what my notification preferences are across apps and across spaces. I can look at my alerts again. Now, if I see alerts, if I've configured these things, you can come out here to alerts and actually go evaluate them. So you don't have to wait for the application to be reloaded. You simply come out here, you click evaluate now, bing, bang, boom. It's going to go off and run and test whether those conditions have been met or not, and you will get your email or you will get your notification bell to go off. I can look at different spaces and see what I have access to, which ones are owned by me, which ones are owned by somebody else. Here's one of the most important things that you're going to see here. You've got the ability to create API keys. API keys are needed if we're going to have a tight integration between some other application and Qlik Sense SaaS. So you can see that I've got one app that's an analyzer application where I'm analyzing my SaaS applications. As you can imagine, that thing needs to go call the APIs and look at the details about performance and memory and things like that. So I had to create an API key for it. I also have integrations with Blender running so that Blender can look at some of my Qlik stuff. I need that. And let's say that I need a new one for whatever that reason is. I'm going to create a new key, and I'm going to say that this is for demo video purposes. I might have done this once or twice. I could choose how long that key should expire in. We're going to go ahead and leave this particular one at 6 hours. I'm going to generate this, and I cannot stress this enough. There's like an ooga sound happening right now in your head. It should be. It says make sure to copy this API key. I think this should be in red, and there should be bells and all kinds of sirens going off, because once I close this screen, I lose access to this key. So what you need to do is copy that key, put it in somewhere safe because you will need it for that other application. And once this screen is closed, you no longer have access to it. So I hope you did that. Now, I can also get access to the management console here, but I won't. I'm going to go back to my hub view to get to that, but you'll see I could get to that while I'm here. I can invite other users to come in. Now, any users you invite to come in would need to have a Qlik ID. So if I'm just going to reach out to them via email and I don't have an identity provider configured yet, I'm going to just send it to their email address like I did for that Qlik guy, and he gets an invite. He's got to create a Qlik ID, and then he's allowed to get access. The last thing here I want to show you is important. This is where, in this environment now, you could download Qlik Sense Desktop. The nice thing about being in a SaaS tenant, as I'm sure you're already been well informed by your sales teams or your partner managers, is it is managed. It's always up to date, and the beautiful thing is you just come click here, and whenever the tenant goes up to a new version of Qlik, so does the desktop version, and you just press download, you install, and you're on the latest and greatest desktop version so that you are in sync with what you're doing in the SaaS tenant. You can also click here to download the Qlik Data Transfer tool. I'm sure you've heard about that. If not, there's plenty of videos online. This allows you to be able to transfer data from your on-prem into the cloud. So if you're in a hybrid type of environment and you're building QVD files locally, you could just automatically, as those files change, transfer them up to SaaS in case there are any apps that you are surfacing in your SaaS tenant that are going to reload and they need that data. So this is where you come to download both of those tools. Pretty easy, but you need to know where they're at. I'm going to go ahead and come out of here, and we'll go right back to the hub now. where we can get to here, and I'm going to go to the management console from here. And I'm just trying to do this so that you can see this is really typically how you would do it. You only need to go to profile every now and then, whereas you'll be in this hub view more often than not. So as I come into the management console, the very first thing here is about governance. We're going to, hey, how are we running this system? So the first thing is users, and I can see that Qlik person has finally accepted and activated their Qlik account, so I can work with them. Now I happen to know this guy pretty well and I trust him. I could make him a tenant admin. Woohoo! He's got full permissions to do anything he needs on this tenant, except for one. He is not allowed, even as a tenant admin, to create API keys which some other system could use to access our low-level APIs. If I want him to have that ability, I would need to check that box. So there's really two permissions. You can control it and create spaces and create apps and move data around. Yay! But if he's going to open that access to the outside world, I need to give him permissions to do that. I don't know if that guy's trustworthy. He makes videos and shows API keys all over the screen. So we better not do something like that, but we'll make him a tenant admin. So that's how you would manage your users. If you look at license here, you can come down and see how many licenses you're using, who you're assigning them to, all the standard QMC things. I can look at spaces very much like streams. I can see who owns what stream, blah, 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 blah. Again, I've got the ability to see alerts that are out there. I can come out here if I choose to and say, nah, I want you to disable that or delete that. That person's not even with the company anymore. Get rid of that thing. You can create schedules. Schedules are like the task manager in Windows, where you come in and you say, hey, I want you to reload the data in this app at 3:05 every morning. Yay! We can also track events that are going on so we can see what's happening. I can look at the content that's controlled within the system. Obviously, apps are a primary source of content. I can see what the apps are, who owns them. I can see what space they're in. If I need to move applications around or change owners, I can do that from here. Here's where I can also control those generic links. I want to be able to see things like the Qlik blog all the time. Or I know as we're working on our orders to cash SAP demos, we are constantly connecting to replicate and to compose. And holy cow, I can put links directly to those models in my SaaS Sense hub so that I can press and jump right to them and I don't have to remember where those things were. One of the things I get questions from people all the time, can we add extensions? I heard you can't have extensions in the cloud. Well, you can have extensions in the cloud. Now, there are some, like this tiny reload button, that allows you to do partial reloading. And guess what? I just downloaded it right off the development garden and I installed it and it just works out of the box. Yay for me. There are others like Infinity. I downloaded it, I installed it, yay for me. I downloaded and installed this ARIA NLG component, which is on DevHub, that does natural language generation, and I installed the zip, and it did not work. Boo for me, until I did something that I'll show you momentarily. You can also install themes, just like with Windows. Maybe you want color schemes in your SaaS tenant, so you're allowed to do those things. Now, let's take a look at several integration levels. I've got my really, really, really low level here where I'm giving API keys to something else. I can see what I've got. My Blender, Dalton created a Blender API key, David created a Blender I key. I've got this demo video that Dalton created, and yeah, we're just going to revoke that. Yeah, we're not going to leave that running. Yeah, we don't need that. So if people come and go and you see that they have an API key, you're welcome to revoke it. If you created it and you just created it for a year and you really needed it for a data test, something which David and I often do. We're just find ourselves testing things. We can come in and revoke those when we're done with them. Content security policy is a new type of a thing. This is the way that we're giving access outside of our servers to talk to partner systems. When I use the Vizlib controls, they have 4 servers that various components use and need to talk to. Each of these servers then needs particular security directives that they're granted. So when I downloaded and installed Aria's NLG component, which is on Development Garden, I'm able to just simply add the server, their URL, where it's going to talk, and I tell it which directives are needed. So I added these directives for this URL, these directives for this directive for this, and then those controls work like a snap. So you're going to find extensions that work easily. If you are a technology partner building these extensions, if you have your own URL sources that our SaaS tenants will need to talk to, you will need to come in here to this content security policy and try to figure out what these things are. When you look at the screen, you'll see that there's about a dozen of these directives. We have a help site, like for all of this, that's going to walk you through what each of those directive types is to help you figure out what you need. And of course, don't ever hesitate to reach out to us on the technology partner team to help you, and we're happy to try to help you test, understand what it is you're doing, and then hopefully we've got some semblance of background that we can help you figure out the right directives for each of those. One of the last things is kind of cool. You know, I'm all about mashups and taking elements out of Qlik Sense apps and showcasing them, either embedding them right in somebody else's applications or embedding them in mashups so that it's a prettier, a sexier, if you will, view of the world, or taking KPIs from 20 different apps and putting them on a real operational scorecard type thing. Well, in order to do that, which we can do, you need to create a web integration key. So much like an API key, you would come in and say, where's the URL that's going to call me asking for objects, right? For a mashup type thing, you give it the name, you give it the URL, and what it's going to do is it's going to create an ID. And again, like the API key, you're going to want to copy that web integration and then put it into your mashup. I'm going to do a completely separate demo on how to build mashups from the cloud, so be looking for that. But I want to let you know that is absolutely possible. These are the things that I think most partners are going to care about, or that enterprises who know, yes, we're going to the cloud, but we need access to other things, depending on whether you're simply using extensions or whether you're going to use mashups or you want low level integration. You've got that ability here with SaaS, and this is where you'd go get that thing. Last thing here, there's a couple of settings that you would do as your administrator. You could configure your alias host and blah, 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 blah. All the things that you'll be able to figure out on your own. And here's where we would do identity providers, right? As you know, the whole purpose of this cloud is to try to create a single sign-on type of environment for either your prospects, or if you're an organization watching this within your own organization. And we can create new identity providers. As you'll see here, we're going to pick something like this, and we've got ability to look at ADFS, Auth0, Azure AD, generic. If you're in the DoD, we've got Qlik, so you're covered there. We've got Okta, we've got Salesforce. And so you could create new identity providers where your users would really be signing in from. So hopefully this has helped acclimate you. Again, I am so thrilled to have you out here in the cloud world with me now. It gets lonely way up there sometimes. without anybody else. And I just want to let you know I am here. If you've got questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me or your sales team. And always look on help.qlik.com because we've got a ton of great information to get you through each of those in much more detail than I've given you. Have a great day.